of parents because first we used to pay school fees which were very expensive, but because of the double charge system and now free education.
Within the region. And also, they're supposed to adjudicate on appeals or complaints, especially when there are problems at the district level with respect to permitting, rezoning, and what have you. Where required, also prepare a sub-regional or multi-district special development framework for 2 or more districts within the region, and perform any other functions to give effect to this act within the region. So the authority at the regional level can issue some technical memorandum to them to really, implement. So this is the action area. The spatial planning at the district level. Here I'm using the district as a generic term. The Constitution says district. So whether you are from metropolitan, municipal, you are a district. So here, the law is saying that we are supposed to establish district spatial planning committee. I don't know the number that has been established as at now. Maybe Chapman, you have to help me. And then the composition is very clear. The chief executive of the district is the chairperson for the committee. But the law says that in the absence of the chief executive, the district coordinating director shall chair, not may chair, shall chair. Initially, the law was not like that. So when the chief executive is not there, nothing goes on. You cannot have any meetings. But now, the law is saying that if the chief executive is not there, the coordinating director shall chair the meeting. So now there's no any excuse. Then, the head of the physical planning department, the town plan officers at the districts, they are supposed to be the secretary to the committee. Then the district coordinating director is also a member of the committee. The chairpersons of the subcommittees on development and development planning and works, they are also part of the committee. The development planning officer is part. The head of the Waste Department, Roads Department, a rep from the Environmental Protection Agency, the head of the Disaster Prevention Department. Formerly we call them the district NADMO, but now they are Disaster Prevention Department. They are also part of it. One rep from the Lands Commission, and the laws stipulated that the person should come from the Survey and Mapping Division of the Lands Commission. And then a rep from the Traditional Council. That is where we have a lot of challenges, especially the land tenure system that we have. It is very difficult to get someone, especially Accra here, to represent some of the committees. And not more than 2 elected assembly members. And the law is saying that priority should be given to women. So the law was very gender sensitive. What are the functions of the district spatial planning committees? One is to ensure proper physical development in the district. Is that what we are seeing at the districts? Do we have proper spatial developments? Your guess is as good as mine. To ensure preparation of district spatial development framework, structure plan, and then local plans. Some of the districts, the last time a plan was prepared was maybe in 1970, but we are still using these antiquated plans to guide the growth and development of our respective areas. The committee is also to consider and approve applications for permit. So if you want to develop any physical, structure, if you want to rezone an area from maybe a commercial to residential, if you want to mount an advertisement board, the committee will have to sit down and approve of it. But is that what is happening on ground in practice? They perform other functions required to be performed by this act within the district. So the implication is that all physical planning issues, the committee is supposed to perform that function. Then we have what we call the technical subcommittees of this special planning committees. So this is a committee established to really technically advise the special planning committee to do their work efficiently and effectively. So the composition, we have the head of the physical planning department as secretary, the development planning officer is part, works, roles, disaster prevention, lands commission, EPA, the district fire officer, district health department, and 2 co-opted members. At least one should come from either the sub-metro, if it is a metropolitan, or an urban council, if it is a municipal. But the law says that the technical committee can really co-opt a rep from any of the utility agencies. But if you are co-opted, you cannot vote on issues. You can just advise. And the chairperson of the technical subcommittee shall be elected by the members, unlike the main committee where the law has specified that the chief executive should be the chairperson. Here, the members will have to sit down and elect one person to chair. And the chairperson is to serve for a period of 2 years and can also stand for another re-election. And the technical subcommittee shall always report to the special planning committee. Their functions are numerous here. They are supposed to prepare and review the various plans from the framework up to the local plans, and also review applications for physical development. So if you want to, get a permit from the assembly, you need to submit your application to the Secretariat of Physical Planning, Secretariat of the Special Planning Committee, which is the Physical Planning Department, and they will have to call for a meeting for the technical people to sit on it and then discuss and make recommendations to the Special Planning Committee for either approval or otherwise. So the law has now specified that the Secretariat of the Special Planning Committee should be the Physical Planning Department. But yes, still, some of the districts, you go there, and then the West Department, they are receiving the applications. I had opportunity to monitor the physical planning departments in the Borno Ahafo region, I think September. I was able to visit 22 out of the 28 districts. And some of the districts, the West Department, they are receiving the applications. But I don't blame them, because most of the areas, we don't have the officers. We don't have the officers in most of the areas, and we will discuss that one later on. And we have already said that the head of the physical planning department should be the secretary to the committee. So let's come to some specifics with respect to the law and how we are really implementing these specifics. The law says that if you look at the Act 480, the National Development Planning Systems Act, it even says that all entities required to comply with a plan. So that means you cannot just wake up and say that, oh, this is my plot, so I can do anything that I like with the plot. So every entity, you should comply with a plan. And no physical development without permit. But Accra here, I can tell you about 60% of the buildings are there without permit. But the law has defined what is meant by physical development. So the carrying out of building, or most of the time people think that it's only building that requires, permit. So building, engineering, mining, or other operations on, in, under, or over land, or the material change in the existing use of land, or a building, and includes the subdivision of land. So if you have your land, you cannot just go and subdivide it and sell to people. You need a permit from the assembly. The disposal of waste on land, including the discharge of effluent into a body of still or running water, and the election of advertisement or other hoarding, among others. If you go around the city, the advertisement board, they have become the confusing element of the urban form. Everywhere you see them. So you ask yourself whether they have permits or not. But they don't go through the right process. Somebody is sitting somewhere just issuing the permits to them. So we're talking about non-conforming. So the law is saying that, but the scheme is saying that it's a Ramsar site. So that what they are doing there is not in conformity with the scheme, but we are allowing it. But I don't blame the chief executive. It started a long time ago, and we have the underhand currents which goes beyond even the chief executive. So that tells you the problem that we have with respect to spatial planning in the country. The law is saying that the assemblies they have the power to do demolition. Do we do that? When you issue a permit to someone, the person also goes contrary to the permit. You can revoke the permit. So I don't know whether we have ever revoked any permit before. The laws are very clear, especially when you develop at the community right of space, that is open space. The assembly can go and demolish it without even informing the developer by law, but the implementation is always a problem. With respect to permit validity, the LI is saying that if a permit is issued to you within 5 years, if you have not been able to complete your building within 5 years, that means the permit has expired and you have to apply for renewal of your permit. And the duration of a permit, the law is saying that if I submit my application to the planning authorities, and within 3 months I have not heard anything from them, it is deemed that the application has been approved. I can go on and develop. And this is happening a lot because most of the time people submit the application and we don't even communicate to them. And also, when your permit is, refused, you have the right to appeal, and the process is also there. When you complete your building, after you have been issued with a permit, and you have completed your building, you cannot just go and occupy it. You need a habitation certificate. Are we doing that? Because we have to go and inspect the place and ensure that the provisions in the permit issued to you is what you have really, implemented. And this is a very, a fertile place for the assemblies to generate a lot of revenue. But we are not implementing this. The law is very clear on it. The law is also saying that we should establish planning and building inspectorate unit. Now, if you go to the assemblies, it is building inspectors, building inspector, building inspector. The question is whether the building inspectors can even read the provisions in the special plans that we have. So the law has made it clear that we should work in collaboration. So there should be a planning and then building inspectorate unit within the assemblies. So honorable, chief executives here, we are appealing to you to immediately establish this, and it will help you a lot, so that the Fiscal Planning Department and Waste Department, they can work in tandem. We are also supposed to establish a public data room for us to display the various plans, all the information with respect to special planning, so that people can go there and access the information. And also outsourcing of planning functions. With respect to the preparation of planning schemes, you can outsource it, but you cannot outsource permitting. You cannot outsource development permitting. You cannot outsource your planning meetings to a consultant. But you can outsource the monitoring and the evaluation of the physical development within your area. But when you are doing the outsourcing, you have to remember the National Procurement Act. You have to go through that. The building inspectorate. The law is also very clear about who a building inspector is. And if you read this, you'll see whether we have a qualified building inspectors or not. Because the law is saying that the building inspector should be either an architect, a professional building surveyor, a civil engineer, or a professional builder. That's what the law says. The LI 1630, if you look at the interpretations, it is clear there. But the building inspectors that we have, I don't know. I don't want to mention any qualification. And no wonder we have a lot of challenges with respect to physical planning monitoring. So, Achampo has just signaled to me that my time is up. So let us look at some of the challenges. So, we have a weak enforcement mechanism. I've already mentioned the building inspectorate division. They are not really up to the task. So people are just building without recourse to the approved planning schemes that we have. Also, there's a limited public knowledge on land use planning laws and regulations. Most of the people are not aware the processes they have to even go through before they obtain a permit. Some of them think that if you get a land document from a chief, that means you can build. Because at times the chiefs will give you the indenture and they say, oh, go and build. And people also comply with that. And the complex, land administration system that we have. I'm happy Dr. Animodami is here, the former chief, is executive secretary for Lands Commission, who is now with National Development Planning Commission. Maybe he will highlight more on the land administration system that we have in the country for us. And also, at times, unprofessional attitude of some of our special planners. I quite remember, Mr. Dakra, we were discussing what the late CNK, what our former director, told us one time. He was saying that rezoning. But he used the term clandestine mutilation of plants, and we term it as rezoning. So you go, my monitoring at the Brunhafu region, when I went to Wenchi, this chief executive asked me, Chief, what is rezoning at all? So I took my time, explained everything, the process that the person will have to go through. But the rezoning, you need a permit. You need a professional planner to prepare, the justification report, the inspections, assessed by technical subcommittee before approval will be given, and then the consultation. You have to even publish it in the dailies. So he asked me, what is rezoning at all? And he was asking me that the officer there, you go to every open space, they say they have rezoned it. And they don't know anything about it. But he was happy that the officer has been posted to Techimai. And when I went to Techimai, the chief executive asked me, what is rezoning at all, sir? So I asked my officer, are you specialists in rezoning? Because when they asked the question, and you are now in Techimai, and the Techimai, chief executive is also asking the same question. So rezoning is a tool, for special planning. But there's a process that you have to go through. You don't just sit in your office and then change the use. So some of our officers, the attitude is also appalling. And then low commitment and strategic leadership for special plan implementation. We have a lot of beautiful plans, and the master plan that I did show to you, if we had been able to implement this master plan, Accra would have been very beautiful like Singapore and what have you. Because when we prepared the scheme for Korle Lagoon, Singapore, they have not conceived the idea to prepare a scheme for Singapore River. Because they started the Singapore River, reclamation in 1976. And by that time, we have prepared and approved our plan in 1970. So we're far ahead of them in terms of spatial planning. You go to Singapore River now, that is the lifeblood of Singapore, with the financial district, all the important hotels and the rest. But ours, we have the biggest slum in the country there. So that is a contrast. Also, the budget priorities and financial capacity of the assemblies to really implement the plans. My monitoring at the Brunei region, you go to, on the average, it was September, but on the average, the district assembly have done just two meetings. So if we are even supposed to meet 3 times, quarterly, that means they should have done about 3 meetings. But some of the districts, they have not even done a meeting before. And the developers will not wait for you. They will go and develop. And then lack of subsidiary legislation to implement planning law. Now, the Land Use and Special Planning Act, I think the final draft subsidiary legislation is in place, and very soon I think it will be approved. And then another critical issue that we have is a one-size-fits-all planning laws and regulations. The issues, characteristics of urban development in Accra is completely different from my hometown of Mahinkro. So if we have a single planning law regulating the spatial plans of Greater Accra metropolitan area at the same time my hometown of Mahinkro or Tumu, you always have a conflict. Because LICC that says that you are supposed to have a title to the land, a good title to the land before you can obtain a permit. The villages, what is title to a village? My mother. If my mother has a land and she wants to develop it, will she travel from Sunyani from Doma to Sunyani? There I need a lease before she can develop. So I think we have to look at it again. And also the one country, 2 planning systems. We have the National Development Planning System and then the Land Use and Spatial Planning System. Where are we heading towards? I don't know whether maybe there's a possibility to merge these 2 in the future. And then the non-existence of spatial plans in our rapidly urbanizing areas. If you go to the peripheries of Accra, the chiefs they have prepared their own schemes, and that's what they are implementing on ground. They are not approved planning schemes, so they are doing everything there. You see a road, 20-feet road, going through everything. They need more land. And the planning that we are also